Sometimes, courage doesn't come from the strong. It comes from the ones who have every reason to give up, but never do. This is the story of a little boy who couldn't walk, and yet he helped a man run faster than he ever had before. It was a quiet morning in a small English town called Windermere. The streets were lined with old stone houses, and every Saturday, people gathered at the local park to jog, play, or just enjoy the fresh air. Among them was Ethan Miller, a 27-year-old Olympic sprinter. Tall, broad-shouldered, with sharp focus in his eyes, Ethan had one dream: to win gold in the next Olympics. He was fast, very fast, but lately, something was missing. He trained hard every morning, but his coach could see it. The spark, the hunger, it was fading. Ethan had lost his last big race by just half a second that haunted him every night. He started doubting himself, wondering if his time was over. One day, after another frustrating morning of training, Ethan sat on a park bench, staring at his shoes. That's when he noticed a boy, about 10 years old, on the other side of the park. The boy was in a wheelchair. His name was Oliver Gray. Oliver was watching the runners with wide, bright eyes. His mother sat beside him, reading a book, while Oliver leaned forward, smiling at every jogger that passed. Ethan didn't think much of it until he saw Oliver raise his hands in the air, pretending to run. He was moving his arms like a champion, laughing, cheering himself on. Something about that smile made Ethan's heart pause. A few days later, Ethan noticed Oliver again. Same park, same time. But this time, Ethan went closer. He smiled and said, "Hey, buddy, you seem to like running." Oliver's eyes lit up. "I love it. I watch all the races on TV. One day, I'll run too." There was silence. Ethan didn't know what to say. He didn't want to remind the boy of what he couldn't do. So he just nodded and said softly, "Maybe you already are running, just in a different way." Giggle. "That's what my mom says too." That small conversation became the start of something beautiful. Every morning, Ethan trained at the park, and Oliver and his mom were always there. Oliver would cheer, clap, and shout, "Go, Ethan! Run like the wind!" At first, Ethan would just smile, but soon, he started looking forward to that little voice. It gave him something no coach or medal could give: hope. One morning, though, Ethan noticed Oliver wasn't there. Days passed, still no sign of him. He finally saw Oliver's mother at the park alone. She looked tired, her smile weak. "Is Oliver okay?" Ethan asked gently. She hesitated. "He's in the hospital. His condition's gotten worse. The doctors aren't sure if he'll walk again, or even get better soon." Ethan stood still, the world around him fading. That little boy, so full of joy and dreams, was now fighting just to stay alive. That night, Ethan couldn't sleep. He thought about Oliver's laughter, his voice shouting encouragement. And then he realized that boy, who couldn't even stand, had never once complained. While Ethan had every ability, every resource, and yet he'd been losing faith. The next morning, Ethan visited the hospital. He walked into a pale room where Oliver lay connected to machines, but still smiling. When he saw him, his eyes widened. "Ethan, you came!" Ethan smiled, trying to hold back tears. "Of course I did, champ." Oliver's small hand reached out, trembling, and touched Ethan's arm. "Did you win your race?" Ethan kneeled beside his bed. Not yet, but I will. And when I do, I'll dedicate it to you." Oliver's small hand reached out, trembling, and touched Ethan's arm. "You already won, because you never stopped running." That line hit Ethan like thunder. When he left the hospital that day, he wasn't the same man anymore. He wasn't running for fame or medals or the world's applause. He was running for Oliver. Weeks turned into months. The Olympic trials arrived. The stadium was roaring, the air electric. Ethan took his position at the starting line. He closed his eyes and whispered, "This one's for you, Oliver." The gun fired. Ethan exploded forward. Every muscle burned. Every heartbeat echoed Oliver's voice in his mind. "Go, Ethan! Run like the wind!" He didn't think. He just ran. With power, with purpose, with heart. And when he crossed that finish line, the timer blinked. New record. He had done it. Gold medal. As the national anthem played, he looked up at the sky. Tears rolled down his cheeks. He whispered, "You did it, Oliver. We did it." A few weeks later, Ethan returned to Windermere with his medal. He went straight to the hospital, but Oliver wasn't there. His mother met him in the hallway, eyes full of tears. She handed Ethan a small drawing. It was a picture of Ethan crossing the finish line with Oliver's wheelchair drawn beside him. At the bottom were the words written in shaky handwriting. "Winners never quit, and those who never quit always win." Ethan placed the gold medal beside the drawing. He smiled through his tears and whispered, "You will always be my greatest coach, little man." Sometimes, the people we think are weak are the ones who carry the strongest hearts. Oliver couldn't walk, but his courage made a champion run again. So, the next time you feel like giving up, remember, someone out there is dreaming to do what you already can. Keep going. Keep believing, because your strength might be the reason someone else doesn't lose hope.